Hey everyone. This is Six Path Weeb, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our fanfiction discussion. What if Naruko chose the path of the serpent? Disclaimer, this content is purely for entertainment and discussion. I do not own any anime footage used in this video, all rights belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. With that out of the way, let's jump right in. Naruko, the next snake Sanin. Normal speech, Naruko. Speech in a flashback, Naruko. Jutsu name, Hiraishin no Jutsu. Inner demon thinking, Shanaru. Demon speaking, big head mode, Na-Ru, 2. Disclaimer, I do not own Naruto. Key details to note. Up until the end of the invasion arc, Kakashi's judgment will be clouded by the influence of the council, leading him to see Sasuke as a reflection of both himself and Obito. From this point forward, Naruko adopts a colder demeanor but remains a good person at heart. She chooses not to inform the Hokage about the upcoming invasion and will only intervene when she believes the village has suffered enough. Pairings. Chuya, while attractive, her abrasive personality makes things difficult. Tenten, a weapon expert but not skilled in kenjutsu, making her less effective against elemental users. Koyuki, as the daimyo of the Land of Snow, her responsibilities make a relationship impractical. Konan, strong, kind, and beautiful. She could serve as a spy within the Akatsuki, but it would mean long periods apart. Yugao Uzuki, Anbu codename, Cat, skilled in kenjutsu, kind, and strong. There's a possibility she was trained by Kushina, making her the best match. A clash in the Land of Waves. 1 year, 3 months later. A great deal had changed over the past year. Naruko, through the use of a special blood clone, had graduated from the academy. The clan heads, along with a few civilians, had failed the test that followed, though they had put up a respectable effort. Meanwhile, Mizuki was apprehended by the Anbu while attempting to steal the Forbidden Scroll for Orochimaru, an event that never came to pass since Naruko had already passed her exams. As a result, Team 7 was composed of Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, and Naruko Uzumaki, led by Kakashi Hatake. Team 8, Ino Yamanaka, Shikamaru Nara, and Choji Akimichi, led by Asuma Sarutobi. Team 9, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, and Shino Aburame, led by Kurenai Yuhi. These 3 teams were the only ones that passed their respective evaluations. Despite leading Team 7, Kakashi found himself particularly invested in Sasuke, seeing him as intelligent, composed, and powerful, an Uchiha, and the last of his clan. Viewing him as a second chance to atone for his perceived failures with Obito, Kakashi inadvertently neglected Naruko and Sakura. For the first 3 months, Team 7 focused solely on teamwork exercises. However, while Sasuke received additional training, Naruko never protested, having long grown accustomed to being overlooked. Meanwhile, Sakura was simply content to admire Sasuke from the sidelines. Current mission, Land of Waves. Team 7 was assigned a C-ranked mission to escort Tazuna, a bridge builder, and protect him from potential bandit attacks. However, the journey took a dangerous turn when they were ambushed by the Demon Brothers, 2 rogue ninja. Thanks to the combined efforts of Sasuke and Naruko, the attackers were swiftly dealt with. Afterward, the team confronted Tazuna, who attempted to manipulate them emotionally into continuing the mission. While this tactic worked on Sakura, Sasuke was eager to proceed, viewing the mission as an opportunity to prove his strength. Despite his reservations, Kakashi ultimately decided to move forward. Looking back, however, Kakashi now wondered if they should have turned back when they had the chance. Everyone, take Tazuna and run, Kakashi commanded, sensing the looming danger. But retreat was not the way of the Uchiha, especially not the last of their clan. Sasuke, embodying the pride and arrogance of his lineage, charged ahead without a plan, determined to showcase his power. Zabuza Momochi, an elite rogue ninja, watched as the boy recklessly rushed toward his water clones. A smirk played across his lips as he silently instructed his clones to overpower and subdue Sasuke, intending to break his spirit before eliminating him. Naruko had been analyzing the situation, formulating a strategy, but by the time she finished assessing their options, Sasuke had already acted. That left her and Sakura as the only ones to protect the client. As Sasuke neared his opponent, Zabuza delivered a powerful kick, sending him crashing into a tree. The impact rendered him unconscious, leaving him vulnerable to the merciless clones. Just as the clones prepared to strike, a voice rang out. Fire release, Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. A sudden burst of fire engulfed the clones, incinerating them instantly. All eyes turned toward the source of the attack, a man with brown hair and matching brown eyes. Standing atop a tree branch, he exuded an aura of calm authority. His warm smile, however, carried an unsettling presence that sent chills down their spines. Zabuza narrowed his eyes. Attacking children? Is that what the world has come to? The man mused, stepping down from the tree with practiced ease. Scoffing, Zabuza retorted, "Why don't you pick on someone your own size, shorty? This is unbelievable. There's no one here who matches my size," Naruko remarked with a huff. "But my name is Yari Uzumaki, and I'm almost 13. If anything, I'm taller than most people my age, and my skills are just as impressive." Everyone was stunned, except for Tazuna, who remained clueless about the unfolding situation. Sasuke and Sakura were in shock because they had assumed Uzumaki was a fabricated name. Kakashi was equally taken aback, unaware that any Uzumaki had survived. Meanwhile, Zabuza struggled to believe that such a small individual could wield that much power. Haku, however, reacted differently, recognizing the name instantly. If Yari truly was who she claimed to be, then Zabuza was in far greater danger than he realized. Without hesitation, Haku activated Water Release, Sunshine no Jutsu, teleporting next to Zabuza before swiftly forming hand seals. Ice Release, Senbone Storm. Hundreds of razor-sharp ice needles launched toward Yari in a coordinated assault. Yari, however, remained completely unfazed. Without so much as blinking, she clapped her hands together and commanded, "Wind Release, Great Breakthrough." A powerful gust of wind erupted from her position, effortlessly deflecting the incoming Senbone. "Haku, what do you think you're doing?" Zabuza barked, displeased that Haku had exposed herself so soon. "My apologies, Zabuza-sama," Haku responded solemnly, "but I have heard of this person before." A newly released bingo book entry mentioned an individual who surfaced mysteriously a few months ago. An entire platoon of Iwa Onbu was dispatched to investigate, yet only one returned, just to deliver a warning to the third Tsuchikage. The message read, "Next time you send anyone after me, you will be forfeiting the lives of your entire village." After that, the individual was classified as an S-rank threat with a flee-on-site directive. Silence hung in the air. It was nearly unheard of for a full squad of elite Onbu to be wiped out merely to send a message. Zabuza scoffed. "Haku, have you lost your senses? That girl is your age. There's no way she possesses that kind of strength. Now, finish her." Haku obeyed immediately, forming hand seals. "Ice Release, Ice Blade," she declared, dashing toward Yari at high tuning speed, her weapon poised for a critical strike. "Snake Sword, Swift Horizontal Slash." Yari responded, unsheathing her sword in a fluid motion. Her blade cut cleanly through the ice weapon and left a shallow wound on Haku's arm, though it was not deep, as Yari had acted on instinct. Haku leapt back, realizing she needed a more decisive strategy. She swiftly formed additional seals. Demonic Mirroring Ice Crystals. Water from the nearby lake rose and solidified into a series of reflective ice mirrors, encircling Yari completely. Without missing a beat, Haku stepped into the nearest mirror. Moving with Jonin-level speed, she darted between reflections, hurling Senbone with deadly precision. However, despite the relentless assault, Yari dodged each projectile with unnerving ease. Her expression remained calm, her sharp eyes scanning the mirrors methodically. Frustration flickered in Haku's gaze, none of the Senbone had landed. "This technique is getting tiresome," Yari murmured. Whirlpool Sword, Second Stance, Rotating Whirlpool. She channeled chakra into her hand and blade before beginning to spin. Unlike the Hyuga's Kaiden, her rotation was entirely offensive. The rapid motion generated concentrated wind blades along the sword's edge, sending out devastating bursts of cutting force. The wind energy was so intense that it shattered all of Haku's mirrors and inflicted severe injuries in the process. As Haku fell to the ground, Yari approached, resting the tip of her blade near her opponent's throat. Seeing Yari advancing on Haku, Zabuza abandoned the weakened Kakashi and charged toward her with his Kubi Kiribocho drawn. He moved at full speed, leaping into the air for a devastating downward slash. Kubi Kiribocho, heavy downward swing. Anticipating the attack, Yari was already prepared. Whirlpool Sword, Fourth Stance, Rising Sun. She infused her sword with fire chakra, igniting its blade in bright flames. As Zabuza's massive weapon descended, she met it with a fiery upward slash. The heat rapidly spread through Kubi Kiribocho, threatening to slice it apart, forcing Zabuza to retreat with an evasive roll. TCH. You're good, brat. But don't let it go to your head. His voice echoed as a dense fog rolled in. Ninja art, hidden mist jutsu. Let's see how well you do now. Wind release, great breakthrough. Yari called out, effortlessly dispersing the mist. The clearing fog revealed Zabuza standing near the river, placing the injured Haku beneath a tree for safety. GRR. Don't get overconfident. Zabuza growled, forming seals. Water release, water dragon bullet. A massive dragon composed of swirling water surged toward Yari. Remaining composed, she responded with her own technique. Earth release, earth-style wall. A sturdy barrier of rock rose before her, absorbing the impact of the attack. My turn, Yari declared. Earth release, earth dragon bullets. The mud beneath them shifted, forming the head of a dragon, which then launched a barrage of hardened mud bullets at Zabuza. Forced to retreat onto the water's surface, Zabuza evaded as many as he could, but it was clear he was struggling. This girl is powerful. Even after absorbing some of Kakashi's chakra, I'm already at half my reserves. And she doesn't even look tired. He thought. Last chance. Zabuza muttered, preparing another attack. Water release, gunshot. He fired high-pressure water bullets to dismantle the mud dragon while simultaneously forming seals for his next move. Water release, great waterfall jutsu. A massive wave of water began forming, surging with immense force. It seems you still don't understand the difference in our abilities, Yari said, inhaling deeply. Kurama style, fire breath. A colossal blaze erupted from her mouth, consuming the water jutsu entirely. The intense flames burned everything in their path, forcing Zabuza to dive into the river in sheer shock. He had momentarily forgotten to channel chakra to his feet. Meanwhile, Kakashi, now free, silently thanked Yari for pulling him away when Zabuza dropped him. Even Sasuke, who had been roused by Sakura's panic shaking, stared in disbelief. How is someone my age this powerful? He wondered. Zabuza coughed, regaining his footing. To think you countered my strongest jutsu with a technique that should be naturally weaker. His mind raced. This is bad. She's too strong, and I'm nearly out of chakra. Yari exhaled. That took more energy than I expected, she admitted, sensing that she had lost about a third of her chakra reserves. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, Zabuza realized he might not be able to win. Now that you're all listening, I just returned from Gato's hideout after dealing with him. However, a few of his men managed to escape, Yari stated matter-of-factly. What? Are you telling me I was wasting my chakra this entire time for nothing? Zabuza growled, frustration evident in his voice. No, what I did was entirely necessary to demonstrate my skills. Now, listen closely, I want to offer my assistance in taking down Yagura, Yari declared seriously. Exclamation mark what? But why would you help us? Zabuza asked, clearly confused. My reasons are my own. You just need to take me close to Yagura, and I'll handle the rest, Yari promised. I suppose we could use your help. But did you really need to go that far? Zabuza questioned, still processing the situation. It was necessary to prove that I am not just some inexperienced fighter, Yari reminded him. TCH, fine. When do we leave? Zabuza asked, giving in. Tomorrow at 0600 hours. If you're late, my offer is off the table, Yari stated firmly. What? What about Haku? He's injured, Zabuza exclaimed. He'll be fine. It's just a few scratches, he'll recover by tonight, Yari reassured him. At that moment, Team 7 approached. Yari turned to them with a smirk. Well, looks like you're awake, Duckhead, he greeted. Sasuke scowled but said nothing, his thoughts elsewhere. Just you wait, Itachi. With this guy's power, I'll finally be able to defeat you. We just wanted to thank you for saving my student and me, Kakashi said, his visible eye crinkling in a polite smile. I demand that you hand over all your jutsu, Sasuke declared boldly, only to be met with a flick on the forehead. My, what an arrogant student you have, Mr. Jonin. I almost couldn't stop myself from teaching him some manners, Yari remarked with an amused smile. Yes, I really do need to work on that, Kakashi admitted with a sigh. You should. Next time, I might not be so lenient, Yari warned, still smiling. A chill ran down Kakashi's spine. He's not joking. Sasuke opened his mouth to protest, but Kakashi quickly stopped him. I really do need to work on this, he thought to himself. Well, I suppose I should find a place to stay for the night. Hey, Bridge builder, do you know of anywhere in the village where I can rest? Of course. After what you've done for us, it's the least we can do, Tazuna said gratefully. Just wait, we'll even name the bridge after you. How about the Great Yari Bridge? You give me too much credit, Yari said with a chuckle. But I think the Great Uzumaki Bridge has a better ring to it. That night, while the village celebrated, Naruko walked alone in the forest, distancing herself from the festivities. She had unfinished business to take care of. Yo! Long time no see, Naruko, or should I say, my blood clone, a shadowed figure spoke from behind. The clone turned and bowed slightly. Naruko-sama, I have completed the task as instructed. I placed the sealing art, Dojutsu seal on Sasuke. His Sharingan will not awaken unless you allow it, the clone reported. The figure stepped into the moonlight, revealing Yari Uzumaki, also known as Naruko Uzumaki, smiling in satisfaction. I checked your work. It was flawless. For the Chunin exams in 2 months, you will need even more power, Naruko said, placing a hand on the clone's head. Instantly, the clone's power level surged, reaching mid-Chunin strength before dispersing. I'll arrive before the invasion begins. Make sure Gaara is taken out of the battle and brought to the base. Also, stay away from the base for a few days, Orochimaru might decide to make an appearance, Naruko instructed. You've become incredibly strong, Naruko-sama, the clone remarked. Yes, and I have the snakes, my clan's knowledge, and Kurama to thank for that, she replied. Flashback. Naruko had stumbled upon a hidden underground library, safeguarded by hundreds of blood seals, ensuring that only an Uzumaki could enter. Inside, she discovered countless scrolls, Uzumaki sealing techniques, Kenjutsu, elemental jutsu, even forbidden techniques in Genjutsu and Taijutsu. Thrilled by the knowledge, she immediately created 10,000 shadow clones to study and master everything. However, one issue frustrated her: she had no way to master fire-based techniques, as Orochimaru's scrolls contained only limited information on the element. Well, brat, I might be able to help with that, Kurama's voice rumbled in her mind. There's a jutsu that could solve your problem, fire breath. End flashback. Alright, let's head back before anyone notices, Naruko said as she turned towards the village. Tonight was a night of celebration, and she had one more reason to be satisfied: she had taken control of Gato's transport network, giving her access to wider markets for selling her sealing techniques and increasing her financial resources. With that, she stepped back into the lights of the village, ready to celebrate her victory. 0530 hours. Zabuza was already awake and having a quick breakfast. Yari had distributed 50% of Gato's wealth to the people of the Land of Waves and provided them with stable jobs under the newly established Uzumaki transports. With the economy improving, necessities became more affordable, and poverty was no longer a visible issue. Seeing the positive change, Zabuza couldn't help but feel conflicted about the mission he had taken. However, he needed the funds to support the rebellion in Kirigakure. By 0550 hours, Zabuza and Haku, who still had a few bandaged injuries, were waiting patiently for Yari. Though they were early, they understood that they were the ones seeking assistance, so they had no choice but to be punctual. A few minutes later, they noticed someone approaching. To their surprise, it wasn't Yari, but Naruko Uzumaki. The sight of the blonde kunoichi from Team 7 puzzled them. Why was she here? And more importantly, where was Yari? Zabuza narrowed his eyes. Something wasn't adding up. Zabuza, Haku, Naruko greeted. Looks like we're all here. But why do you both look so confused? Aren't you Kakashi's apprentice? Zabuza questioned, his expression serious. What are you doing here? And where is Yari? Naruko sighed. Well, I suppose I have some explaining to do, don't I? Naruko, Zabuza, and Haku moved steadily through the dense forest surrounding the hidden mist. They had been traveling without pause for over 7 hours, and while Naruko was far stronger and more mature than most her age, she was still only 12. Like any other child, she had her own idea of fun, though, in her case, that meant training, learning new techniques, and growing stronger. So, Zabuza, where exactly are we headed? Naruko asked calmly. We're making our way to the rebel camp in the south. Last I heard, they're working on a strategy to end this war quickly. Haku and I play a key role in supporting the rebellion. We provide weapons, supplies, and funding to ensure they stand a chance in this conflict. I only asked where we were going, Naruko replied, her tone unwavering. But before we continue, we should probably deal with the ones following us, don't you think? Zabuza's eyes widened in alarm as he immediately halted, reaching for the massive Kubi Kiribocho on his back. Haku, equally alert, slipped senbone needles from his sleeve. Whoever was tailing them was skilled enough to remain undetected by even experienced warriors like them. Though Zabuza was not entirely on guard, he remained cautious. Among them, Naruko was the most composed. She had sensed their pursuers from the beginning but had chosen to wait until they were far enough from enemy territory to prevent reinforcements from arriving too soon. She could tell this would be an intense battle. Several of their pursuers possessed Jonin-level abilities, with some even rivaling Anbu. Within moments, 4 masked figures emerged, surrounding them from all sides to block any escape. A 5th individual landed nearby, though unlike the others, he was not an Anbu operative. He was Hoshigaki Kisame, a former member of the Cipher Division and now one of the 7 swordsmen of the Mist. Among them, he was the only remaining S-rank warrior. Kisame, Zabuza growled, gripping his weapon tightly. "What are you doing here, you traitor?" "Well, if it isn't Zabuza," Kisame said with a grin. "The so-called demon of the mist, or should I say, former demon?" Zabuza prepared to attack, but before he could move, Naruko stepped forward, placing a hand on his arm. "Zabuza, you're too reckless to fight someone like him. Leave him to me. You and Haku can handle the others." Zabuza hesitated before nodding reluctantly. He turned to face the Anbu while Haku moved into position beside him. Kisame chuckled. "Taking orders from a kid, Zabuza? Where's your pride?" His tone was mocking, but his gaze lingered on Naruko, assessing her. "Enough talk," Naruko said, a smirk playing on her lips. "We can discuss your 20 questions later, if you last that long." Kisame wasted no time, lunging forward in an attempt to catch Naruko off guard. She swiftly leapt backward, avoiding the strike with ease. She had heard of Kisame's reputation as the monster of the mist, and now she could see why. His attacks were relentless, but Naruko was quick on her feet. Anticipating her retreat, Kisame lunged again, determined not to give her time to prepare. Naruko swiftly drew her sword, sending multiple wind-enhanced slashes toward him. However, Kisame effortlessly cut through them, and his sword, Seimata, absorbed the chakra within, rendering them harmless. Naruko narrowed her eyes. "Interesting," she mused. Though Kisame had neutralized her attack, it had slowed him down just enough for her to land safely. The moment she touched the ground, she dashed forward, eager to test her skills against him in close combat. "Whirlpool sword style, first stance, Crimson Moon," Naruko announced as she launched a flurry of precise, powerful strikes. Kisame blocked and dodged her attacks with surprising ease. Not bad, he thought. If this kid had more time to grow, she could have become a real powerhouse. Too bad she won't live past today. With a sudden shift in momentum, Kisame countered. Seimata, grinding waves. He pushed back against Naruko's strikes, their blades clashing in a battle of sheer strength. Naruko grinned. "This guy is good. Every swing is packed with power. I guess it's time to step things up." She suddenly disengaged, flipping back to put distance between them. Kisame raised an eyebrow. "What? That's all? For a second there, I actually thought you were going to be fun." Naruko smirked. "Oh, don't worry. That wasn't even half of what I can do. You'll get the fight you're looking for." Forming a hand seal, she activated her sealing technique. Sealing technique, 4 limbs waiting seal, release. Kisame's eyes narrowed. A Fuinjutsu user? That's rare, especially in the mist. The Mizukage would be very interested in her abilities. Naruko's chakra flared as she charged forward again. Whirlpool sword style, first stance, Crimson Moon. The moment their blades met, Kisame's expression shifted. "What?" He quickly realized that her speed and power had increased significantly. Her strikes were no longer something he could avoid completely. Several small cuts appeared on his arms as he barely managed to block in time. "This is bad," Kisame thought. "If this keeps up, I might actually be in trouble." The battle was far from over. Seimata roared to life as Kisame swung with full force. "Full power, chakra swing," he declared, sending a powerful wave of chakra toward Naruko. When their swords clashed, a massive shockwave erupted, launching Naruko through the trees. Meanwhile, Zabuza and Haku found themselves struggling against a highly coordinated team of masked shinobi. Their opponents moved with impressive synchronization, perhaps even surpassing the Demon Brothers, whom Kakashi had previously dealt with. Not that Zabuza was particularly concerned about them. His focus was on the elite Anbu standing before him. Naruko dusted herself off as she stood up. She hadn't expected Seimata to absorb chakra and redirect it so effectively. That sword is something else, she thought. The impact had been strong, but she was no stranger to being flung through trees. Normally, though, it was Senshi, Saizen, or even the great white snake that sent her flying, not a sword. Well, there was a first time for everything. "My, you're taking your time," Kisame remarked, irritation evident in his tone. He knew Naruko could sense him. "Well, you see," Naruko replied casually, brushing off her sleeves, "I'm wearing white clothes, and I'd rather not get them dirty." Kisame clicked his tongue. TCH. Seimata, compressed chakra wave. He was done waiting. Wind release, slash. Naruko countered, slashing her hands downward. A massive gust of wind cut through the incoming chakra wave, forcing Kisame to leap back to avoid the attack. "Now that's more like it," Kisame grinned. TCH, my attacks are getting neutralized. I guess it's time for ninjutsu. Let's try something new, Naruko mused before vanishing in a burst of speed. In a blink, she reappeared beside Kisame, catching him completely off guard. Fist of the Great White Snake. She struck Kisame's solar plexus with her palm, sending him hurtling backward. Glancing around, Naruko noticed Zabuza and Haku struggling. They're stronger than I expected. Two white snakes with black stripes slithered from her sleeve, much smaller than typical summoned serpents. "Go help those two," she instructed. The snakes swiftly descended and darted away, moving with incredible speed, rivaling that of a skilled chunin. With that, Naruko turned her attention back to Kisame, no longer concerned about Zabuza and Haku. With Zabuza and Haku. TCH. This is getting ridiculous. Water release, gunshot. Zabuza fired a series of high-speed water bullets at an Anbu, but his opponent swiftly retaliated with a barrage of kunai, forcing him to halt his attack. The fight was dragging on, and Zabuza was growing frustrated. As he landed on a tree branch, he suddenly noticed a snake slithering onto his shoulder. "Naruko-sama sent me to assist," the snake hissed. "You're a summoned snake? Wait. Does that mean she has the snake contract? I thought only 2 people had," Zabuza began, but the snake had already coiled around his neck and entered his mouth. "Please bear with me," it said before disappearing inside. Zabuza coughed. "Ugh. What in the—" He stopped mid-sentence as a strange sensation washed over him. One of the Anbu stepped forward. "It's over. Just surrender now," he said confidently. Zabuza, who had momentarily closed his eyes, now opened them, revealing glowing, yellow-slit pupils. His nearly depleted chakra reserves now felt endless, and an eerie calm settled over him. Whatever that snake had done, he would have to thank Naruko later. Right now, he had a battle to finish. The two Anbu, misinterpreting his silence, smirked at each other. The legendary demon of the mist had surrendered. What a victory. They were already envisioning the moment he would be forced to hand over his famed Kubi Kiribocho, making one of them a new member of the 7 ninja swordsmen. One of the Anbu stepped forward to demand the blade, only for Zabuza to vanish and reappear right in front of him. In one swift motion, Zabuza struck, knocking his opponent out instantly. The remaining Anbu was in shock. Moments ago, Zabuza had been drained, barely holding on. Now, he was faster and stronger than ever. Before the Anbu could react, Zabuza closed the gap and moved with impressive speed. In a matter of seconds, the battle was over. The surge of power from the summoned snake was incredible. Turning his attention to Haku, Zabuza was surprised to find the area completely frozen. The battlefield looked like a scene from an ice age. The Anbu who had been fighting Haku were immobilized, while Haku leaned casually against a tree. "How long have you been finished?" Zabuza asked. "A few minutes. My snake reached me first," Haku responded. "A few minutes earlier." Naruko was searching for Kisame's landing site. She wasn't ready to end this fight just yet. So far, she had only used taijutsu and kenjutsu. There was still genjutsu, ninjutsu, and fuinjutsu to explore. Finally, she found Kisame standing amid a pile of rubble, rubbing his bruised chest. "Come on, Kisame," Naruko taunted. "You can do better than that, right?" TCH. "Not yet, brat. I'm just getting started." Earth release, subterranean voyage. Kisame disappeared underground. Naruko's enhanced senses immediately picked up on his movements. Escaping? No. It's a trap. She quickly created a shadow clone and sent it after him. Kisame had positioned himself near a water source, waiting for his clone to lure Naruko in. Smirking as he saw Naruko leaping through the trees, he prepared his jutsu. As the water clone emerged from the ground, it engaged Naruko's clone in combat. Before long, the real Naruko's clone landed a decisive hit, causing the water clone to disperse. Yes. Kisame grinned. Water release, water shark bullet technique. Using the water left behind by the clone, he formed a massive water shark and sent it crashing into Naruko. The impact was direct. Smirking, Kisame turned to leave, only to be met with a thunderous boom from behind. The explosion sent Kisame crashing into a tree. What? This can't be. He muttered in disbelief. Naruko approached with a confident stride. Great clone explosion, one of Uchiha Itachi's techniques. A friend of mine took a look around the Uchiha compound after that night 4 years ago. Managed to collect a few things. Some bodies, a couple of Sharingan. Definitely came in handy. Kisame, though injured, wasn't ready to give up. Not just yet, he muttered, reaching out as Seimata, his unique blade, crawled toward him. As soon as he grasped it, the sword began restoring his energy. Water release, great exploding water colliding wave, Kisame declared, releasing an immense surge of water. In moments, he had formed a massive sphere of water, trapping himself inside. He's merged with the sword. This is bad, Naruko thought. I can't hold my breath forever, and I can't use reverse summoning while Manda is still engaged. Saizen, hurry up and deal with that snake, will you? The conflict between Manda and Saizen had been a well-kept secret, one that only a few knew about. Last Naruko had heard, Manda and his loyal followers were in hiding, unable to be summoned due to the seal she had placed. The battle would likely be over before the upcoming invasion, but until then, the other snakes, except for the 10 twins and their mother, were off limits. Naruko attempted to swim away, but she wasn't making any progress. What's going on? The water moves wherever Kisame does, Kurama informed her. That makes things even more complicated. Wait. Maybe. I have to try summoning Lily. A white snake appeared, its body covered in intricate black markings. Lily was the mother of the 10 twins connected to Naruko's cursed seals, the one designed specifically for her. Without hesitation, the snake slithered into Naruko's mouth. Immediately, her hair grew wilder and longer, her skin darkened to a deep brown, and her hands and feet took on a more clawed appearance. This was the full power of the cursed seal, a transformation tied closely to nature chakra. Kisame watched with intrigue. So, you can transform too? Seimata would love to taste that chakra, he mused before propelling himself forward with even greater speed. The two swam at full force, closing the distance between them. Naruko threw a punch, but Kisame dodged and tackled her, allowing Seimata to begin draining her energy, even absorbing the nature-infused chakra from the cursed seal. Suddenly, Kisame winced in pain, clutching his head. Something was wrong. Seimata was in distress. The water sphere trembled before collapsing entirely, allowing Naruko to take in a much-needed breath. Looks like my theory was correct. Seimata can absorb raw chakra, elemental chakra, and even a tailed beast's energy, but nature chakra is a different story. Thank goodness. Kisame was forced to separate from his sword, still feeling the lingering pain. What just happened? He wondered. Seimata has always been able to absorb chakra from any source, whether human, creature, or even a tailed beast. But now it's completely unresponsive. This isn't good. I have to retreat. As he prepared to leave, a smirk caught his attention. Turning, he saw Zabuza and Haku standing before him. Leaving so soon? I thought you never ran from a fight, Kisame, Zabuza taunted. Kisame frowned. How did you get past the Anbu? Zabuza, what took you so long? Naruko asked, now back in her normal state, the cursed seal's effects fading. Realizing that escape was no longer an option, Kisame launched himself at Naruko, hoping to create an opening. The two engaged in fierce close-quarters combat, Kisame occasionally unleashing water release, gunshot, while Naruko countered with wind release, wind blades. However, Kisame quickly realized he was at a disadvantage. Naruko's attacks were gradually becoming stronger, her skin once again darkening as Lily continued gathering small amounts of nature chakra, converting it into cursed seal energy. Each time Naruko paused, she grew stronger, forcing Kisame back. Snake fist. Naruko called, delivering a powerful strike to Kisame's stomach, sending him crashing to the ground. It's over, she declared. Kisame, exhausted, exhaled deeply. Just make it quick, he said. Naruko retrieved her blade, making a precise cut before sealing both Kisame's weapon and his remains. Zabuza, let's move. More could be on the way, she stated as they prepared to leave. Rebel Camp Headquarters. Naruko was currently resting in a tent provided by the rebels. She had specifically requested accommodations for Zabuza and Haku, which left the two warriors curious. Why was she concerned about their well-being? They felt fine, better than ever, in fact. Zabuza finally asked Naruko why she had made such a request, but she simply told them to wait. A few minutes later, once their rooms were prepared, Naruko explained that she was about to remove the serpentine energy within their bodies. She warned them that the process might leave them feeling drained, possibly experiencing minor chakra burns and muscle fatigue. True to her words, after the energy was dispelled, they felt exhausted but, fortunately, suffered no serious harm. Naruko requested some time to rest before meeting with the leader of the rebellion. Rebel meeting tent. Later that day, Naruko, Zabuza, and Haku stood before three individuals, each exuding an aura of authority. The woman in the center, clearly an S-rank ninja, had a slender figure, auburn hair cascading down to her ankles, and piercing green eyes. Naruko could sense her immense chakra reserves, on par with a cage, alert and ready for battle at a moment's notice. To the left stood a tall man with blue hair and an eye patch covering his right eye. His visible eye was gray, but Naruko could sense the Byakugan concealed beneath the covered one. However, she decided to keep that information to herself. On the right was a shorter young man with blue hair, dark eyes, and sharp, shark-like teeth, resembling Kisame Hoshigaki. Naruko quickly recognized the weapon on his back, Hiramkare, even though it was wrapped in bandages. It was clear, these were some of the strongest members of the rebel forces. Mei Terumi, the leader of the rebellion, spoke first. Zabuza, mind explaining why you brought an unknown individual into our camp without notifying us beforehand? Her tone was calm but wary, her sharp gaze fixed on Naruko. Naruko stepped forward with confidence. My name is Naruko Uzumaki, and I have a proposal for the rebellion. The man on the left, narrowed his eyes. What could someone your age possibly offer that would be of use to us? His skepticism was evident. Without a word, Naruko reached into her clothing, pulled out a scroll, and unsealed its contents. In an instant, a severed head appeared before them, none other than Kisame Hoshigaki. The room fell into stunned silence. The three rebel leaders stared in disbelief. This was Kisame, the infamous monster of the mist. The man responsible for nearly 25% of their casualties. With him gone, their chances in battle would undoubtedly improve. Is that really? Chojuro stammered, struggling to process what he was seeing. Yes. I witnessed the battle myself, Zabuza confirmed. You must be joking, Zabuza. He's just Mei started, only to be interrupted. It's no joke. I saw it as well, Haku added, his voice firm. Mei's expression shifted from doubt to cautious intrigue. What is this proposal you speak of? She asked, now more attentive. If this young warrior had defeated Kisame single-handedly, then perhaps he held the key to their success. Naruko's expression turned serious. I am offering to eliminate Yagura, the fourth Mizukage and the Jinchuriki of the Three Tails. The tent erupted in disbelief. What? Do you even realize what you're saying? Mei exclaimed. Yagura is far beyond Kisame's level. He has full control over the Three Tails. How in the world do you plan to take him down? She was baffled. Naruko was strong, yes, but this was beyond reckless. Naruko remained unfazed. Don't worry. I have methods that are highly effective against Jinchuriki. Ao scoffed. And you think he'll just let you use those techniques? His frustration was evident. The ignorance of youth. Naruko smirked. That's why I'm not attacking right away. Oh, and I wasn't referring to ninjutsu, I meant fuinjutsu. A pause. Wait. Fuinjutsu? Ao's expression changed. Did you just say Uzumaki? As in the sealing masters from Uzushiogakuer? Naruko nodded. That's right. But don't insult my clan by calling them mere seal masters. Anyone can become a master. The Uzumaki were much more than that. And when the time comes to fight Yagura, I'll show you why the world once feared them. Her lips curled into a confident smile. Mei took a deep breath, contemplating the situation. We'll need to discuss strategy. Is this all of your team? No, she admitted. But these are the only ones who can fight right now. The rest were ambushed about 15 kilometers south. They're in hiding, but we haven't been able to assist them due to our lack of manpower. Her frustration was evident. Naruko's expression turned determined. Then that's our first priority. Zabuza, Haku, get ready. We leave in 5 minutes. With that, she turned and exited the tent. Mei watched her go before glancing at Zabuza. Zabuza. How strong is she? Zabuza's expression was serious. If I had to estimate. Mid to high cage level. Mei exhaled sharply. I see. Do you think we have a real chance? Zabuza smirked. If we don't win this time, we never will. A heavy silence filled the room. Later, the rescue mission. Naruko, Haku, and Zabuza moved swiftly through the forest, heading toward the coordinates given to them. They maintained high tuning level speed, ensuring they arrived quickly without exhausting themselves. Upon reaching their destination, they paused in the treetops. Below, several Anbu operatives stood guard. Using silent killing, they swiftly eliminated the sentries before proceeding cautiously. After some time, they found a concealed entrance hidden beneath thick undergrowth. They pushed past the foliage and discovered a small opening leading into a cave. Moving silently, they entered, ensuring their approach remained undetected. However, things don't always go as planned. 2 rebel guards spotted movement in the shadows and, acting on instinct, rushed forward with kunai drawn. Fortunately, Naruko sensed them beforehand and stopped them in time. After a brief explanation, the guards allowed them inside. Once within the cave, Naruko immediately noticed the dire situation. The rebels were weak, low on food, exhausted, and barely able to stand. Seeing this, she quickly created 20 shadow clones, transforming them into small animals like rats and birds to avoid suspicion before sending them out to gather supplies. By nightfall, the group successfully returned to camp without encountering further trouble. Next morning, Naruko woke up at 5 a.m. and immediately began her morning routine, stretches, push-ups, sit-ups, and jogging. By 9 a.m., she was still going, her endurance rivaling even that of Might Guy. Sensing a chakra signature nearby, Naruko looked around and spotted Ao approaching. Mei-sama requests your presence at the meeting tent, he informed her. The walk to the meeting tent was silent. Naruko could tell that Ao remained wary of her, his posture, his readiness to react, all showed his caution. He was prepared for anything, or at least he thought he was. Upon arriving, Naruko noticed Zabuza and Haku waiting outside. Zabuza, I thought I'd see you inside like last time. Oh well. What's this about? Naruko asked casually. I'm not sure. I was summoned just like you, Zabuza replied. I see. Well, let's find out, she said as they entered. Meeting tent. Welcome, Naruko-san, Mei greeted. Good morning, Mei Dono, Naruko responded politely. Mei got straight to the point. Naruko-san, we are grateful for your offer to help the rebels, but we have to ask, why? What do you gain from this? We don't have much to offer in return. There are 2 things I want, Naruko stated. First, Seimata, which is already in my possession. Second, I want to be the foundation for a treaty between Kiri and Konoha after the Chunin exams. But the exams are starting soon, one of the members pointed out. In 2 months, actually, Naruko corrected. And don't worry, the war will be over long before that. How can you be so sure? Because I came here with a fully thought out strategy. I have accounted for every possibility, unless another nation unexpectedly supports Yagura, which is highly unlikely since most nations respect bloodline users. So, what's the plan? Another member asked. The rebel forces will be divided among 10 captains. After a head count, I calculated that each captain will lead 200 soldiers, and they will operate separately across the battlefield. Wait, 200 soldiers per captain? That's a reckless strategy. Someone objected. It's not reckless, Naruko reassured them. I have something that will give us the upper hand during the battle. What kind of advantage? Another member asked. I will provide each leader with a special snake that will enhance their abilities to an entirely new level, Naruko said confidently. A snake? Ao questioned, skeptical. How exactly is a snake supposed to boost our power? They aren't ordinary snakes. They are summons, extraordinary even among summon creatures, she explained with a small smirk. Mei, intrigued, leaned forward. Just how powerful are we talking? Enough to elevate a standard Jonin, who is typically A rank, to S rank status, Naruko said, now grinning. She took pride in her creations. That doesn't sound natural, Ao argued. There must be serious drawbacks. There are some side effects, Naruko admitted. But nothing severe. Mainly exhaustion, muscle pain, and minor chakra burns. Ao frowned. And what do you mean by closest to nature? Nature chakra, Naruko explained. It's an advanced form of chakra, unknown to most, and significantly stronger than the limited energy found in the human body. However, using it without proper training is incredibly dangerous, it can consume you. But when mastered, it allows you to perform feats beyond normal shinobi. Tsunade's legendary strength? Compared to this, it would feel like a light tap. She continued, the snakes I'm providing generate sage chakra themselves and transfer it to their wielder while maintaining its balance. This eliminates the risk of losing control. Essentially, it's purified nature chakra. Zabuza, now even more curious, asked, so that was nature chakra? What kind of improvements does it offer? Your physical strength, defense, agility, and reflexes will increase dramatically. Your jutsu will be more powerful, and if you have a bloodline ability, it will be easier to use, Naruko detailed. Mei nodded. Who are the selected leaders? I plan to decide today, but I have something else to take care of. Do you have any recommendations? I suggest myself, Ao, Chojuro, Chukachi, Tsurugi, Zabuza, Haku, Raiga, Jinpachi Munyashi, and Pakura, Mei listed. Pakura was rescued by the rebels when we needed another strong leader. Good. We begin our attack at dawn, Naruko announced. Each captain will lead their team toward a different entrance of the capital. There are 10 in total. Every team will have 2 captains and 400 members. Organize your groups accordingly. The snakes will be distributed before the attack begins. Ao raised a hand. Why only give the snakes to the captains? Wouldn't it be more effective if everyone had this power? I only have 11 of them, one of which is mine, Naruko revealed. Ao narrowed his eyes. Is there something special about these 11 snakes? Not inherently, Naruko said. I only gave them to those who have completely earned my trust. I see, Ao replied, accepting the reasoning. Then I'll see you all at dawn, Naruko said as she exited the tent. Preparations for the battle. Naruko made her way to a clearing and created 2 shadow clones, handing scrolls to one of them. You know what to do, she said, and the first clone nodded before vanishing. Turning to the second, she instructed, make the necessary preparations for tomorrow. Go. With her orders set in motion, she settled down for the night. She would need her rest. At dawn. The rebel army had completely surrounded the capital, awaiting the command to strike. Captains, step forward, Naruko ordered. 10 snakes slithered out from Naruko's arm and swiftly entered the captains' bodies, integrating into their chakra systems. The sensation was strange at first, but once the connection was complete, an overwhelming surge of power coursed through them. Every fiber of their being felt enhanced. Their muscles were strengthened, their reflexes sharper, their abilities had skyrocketed. This is going to be interesting, they all thought in unison. Return to your positions, Naruko instructed. Once everyone was ready, she gave the final order. Attack. The battle began. Mei, Haku, and Pakura acted as unstoppable forces, their bloodline abilities amplified beyond recognition. Their combined strength carved through enemy lines, allowing Naruko to slip past unnoticed. Yagura's chambers. Yagura stood by the window, watching the chaos unfold below. He was currently under the influence of a genjutsu placed on him by Tobi, also known as Madara or Obito. Under this manipulation, he had waged war against Kiri's bloodline clans. Suddenly, a voice spoke behind him. Hello, Yagura. Shall we begin? He was unsurprised. The 3 tails, also under the genjutsu's control, had warned him of the intruder's approach. You should have struck from the shadows like a true shinobi, Yagura said. Now, you don't stand a chance. Naruko smirked. Where's the fun in that? Yagura turned to face the supposed attacker and was met with the sight of a rather short individual. He raised an eyebrow, assessing the situation. Have the bloodlines truly diminished to the point where they send someone so young into battle? He mused. Naruko smirked. Says the guy who still looks like a teenager. What are you now, 40? 50? She teased. My age is irrelevant, Yagura responded, gripping his staff. Let's get this over with. Your friends won't be far behind, and I intend to deal with them as well. Fine by me, Naruko said confidently. But don't underestimate me. I wouldn't dream of it, Yagura replied as he swiftly swung his heavy staff, his movements surprisingly fluid despite the weapon's weight. Naruko effortlessly dodged each strike. Having removed her training weights for this battle, she was at peak agility. As a Jinchuriki, her abilities were already formidable, but she was well aware that Yagura could fully control his tailed beast's chakra. Impressive, she admitted. That staff is heavy, yet you wield it with such precision and speed. Unfortunately, I don't have time to entertain you. I'll have to end this quickly. Water release, large projectile, Yagura declared, forming a powerful water attack. Agreed, Naruko said, forming a hand seal. Fuinjutsu, jutsu repel. A sealing array materialized in front of her, absorbing the attack and reflecting it back toward Yagura. What? Yagura exclaimed in shock. It's my clan's bloodline ability, chakra materialization, Naruko revealed. The true reason the Uzumaki were feared. We don't just summon chakra chains strong enough to restrain a tailed beast. We can also manifest seals anywhere we want, using pure chakra. That's what makes us unmatched in Fuinjutsu. You're an Uzumaki? This might take longer than I thought, Yagura admitted, growing more serious. No, we're almost done. Fuinjutsu, chakra chains. Golden chains burst from Naruko's hair, wrapping tightly around Yagura, binding him in place. TCH, you really think this will hold me? Yagura scoffed as he channeled the Sanbi's chakra. I'll admit, you're skilled in sealing techniques, far more than I expected, but you can't restrain me with a jutsu you haven't fully mastered. A powerful shockwave erupted from Yagura, shattering the chains. Fire release, exploding eagles, Naruko declared, launching 5 fiery projectiles toward him. Water release, water wall. Yagura countered, pulling moisture from the air to form a protective barrier. Boom. As the smoke cleared, Yagura emerged with minor wounds, though his cloak had shielded him from severe damage. That brat actually managed to injure me while I was cloaked, he thought. His eyes narrowed as he spotted Naruko dashing toward the forest. A mistake. She should have stayed near her allies. Does she think I'll fall for a trap? No matter, I have the Sanbi. I can sense that no one is nearby. In the forest. Yagura pursued Naruko deeper into the woods. Water release, great whirlpool enfolding technique. A swirling vortex of water formed around Yagura's staff as he struck the tree Naruko had just leapt from. The force of the impact nearly caught her off guard. That was strong, she thought, mid-air. She quickly weaved hand seals. Wind release, vacuum wave. A barrage of razor-sharp wind blades tore through Yagura, only for his form to dissolve. A water clone? Naruko realized too late. Water release, rising water slicer. Hearing the attack coming, Naruko instinctively leapt upward. Got you. Heavy smash. Yagura's staff connected with full force, sending her crashing into the ground. He approached, intending to finish the fight. He drew a kunai, but hesitated when he saw the smirk on Naruko's face. Realizing too late, Yagura used a chakra-enhanced leap just in time to evade the great clone explosion. She used a clone at the last second, but where is she now? He thought, scanning the surroundings. Naruko emerged from within a tree using attack prevention technique. Earth release, iron skin. Her hardened fist struck Yagura, sending him hurtling through several trees. That's it, Yagura growled, his voice laced with raw power. I'm done playing around. His chakra surged as he dashed toward Naruko, landing a devastating blow that sent her flying. That was some hit, Naruko thought, struggling to rise. I can't take many more of those. I need to end this now. She took off running again, Yagura hot on her heels. The only thing keeping her ahead was her wind release, wind walk, which enhanced her speed. Come on, just a little further, she urged herself. Turning around, she launched an attack. Fire release, flame bullet. Yagura dodged effortlessly, unable to use water techniques in his version 2 state. Almost there. As Yagura closed in, Naruko unleashed her final move. Fire release, multiple homing arrows. The flaming projectiles chased Yagura relentlessly. Though he managed to deflect most with a shockwave, a few found their mark, though they did minimal damage. Ha ha ha. Is that all? Yagura sneered. You went on about how strong you are, yet now you're just stalling for time? I'm disappointed. Naruko grinned. Don't be. Kai. Small explosions erupted across Yagura's body, forcing him to his knees. What? How? He stammered. My last attack was laced with explosive seals. They detonate when I command them to, Naruko explained. That doesn't explain how you disabled my version too, Yagura growled. Simple. As a fellow Jinchuriki, I know the weak points of that form, she said. But unfortunately for you, you won't be one for much longer. Naruko created a shadow clone. Stand next to Yagura, she instructed. The clone obeyed. Fuinjutsu, enhanced locking barrier. A sealing barrier surrounded the clone and the immobilized Yagura. Advanced tailed beast extraction jutsu. The clone announced, pressing a hand to the seal. A moment later, the Sanbi was forcibly extracted. Fuinjutsu Oji, advanced four-corner sealing barrier, Naruko declared, sealing the tailed beast away. With the clone and Sanbi found themselves in a tranquil dimension, a peaceful meadow with a vast sea. Where am I? Who are you? And where is my host? Answer me, mortal, Sanbi demanded. Relax. I'll let Kurama explain, the clone replied. The clone's eyes turned blood red and slit-pupilled. Isabu, it's been too long, my brother, Kurama greeted. Kurama? Isabu narrowed his eyes. Is that your host? Have you fallen so far? I am not controlling her. We have a deal, Kurama explained. And our father never wanted us to be weapons for war. I have finally found a way to free us. Yagura never used me as a weapon, Isabu argued. He's been with me his whole life. Then explain the war on Kirigakura's bloodline clans, Kurama countered. Isabu hesitated. I remember seeing red eyes. And then? Nothing. Red eyes? Kurama's chakra flared. So, it was him. Madara. Isabu watched Kurama disappear and thought to himself, Madara. Someone who can control us must be related to our father. Be careful, brother. Back with Naruko. Now to seal the Sanbi's chakra inside Yagura and place chakra seals on him, Naruko thought as she approached Yagura. However, she suddenly stopped when she caught a glimpse of the Sharingan flickering in Yagura's eyes before it shattered. What in the world was that? That was the Genjutsu cast through the Sharingan to control its target, Kurama explained. Just like the one used on me to make me attack your village. Before I was sent to that world, I want to witness the person responsible facing their consequences through your eyes. Great, another task added to my never-ending list. Why does it feel like my whole life revolves around fixing other people's problems? Naruko sighed internally. That's the life of a ninja who chooses the path of justice, Kit, Kurama replied. Yagura could be useful now that he's free from the Genjutsu. We might even be able to gather allies, including the other 7 swordsmen. Wait. Are you suggesting I build an army while still being inside Konoha? Not if you officially become a Sannin, you can easily achieve that, Kurama pointed out. Clever, Naruko muttered as she noticed Yagura beginning to wake up. Good morning, Yagura, Naruko greeted him with a smile. End my life, Yagura murmured weakly. Absolutely not, Naruko stated firmly. So, he remembers everything. This might be easier than I thought. Look at what I've done to my village. I can't live with the guilt, Yagura whispered. And that is precisely why you need to make amends, Naruko replied calmly. Ensure that no one else falls victim to the same manipulation you did. Rebuild Kiri, regain their trust, and perhaps, one day, they will welcome you back. But how? I'm too weak, he admitted. You won't be alone. Others like us will stand beside you. After I free the remaining Jinchuriki, you will have their support, Naruko reassured him. For now, let me help. She formed a seal and activated her technique. Fuinjutsu, Chakra Purification Seal. A faint glow surrounded Yagura as the remaining Sanbi chakra was stabilized within him. You'll recover soon, and the residual Sanbi chakra will become your own, Naruko explained. Now, I need you to travel to Taki and Iwa to meet their Jinchuriki. Meanwhile, I'll take care of matters in Konoha. Officially, you'll be declared dead, so keep a low profile. Yagura nodded in understanding as Naruko stood up and headed toward the capital. At the capital. Mei-sama, the remaining forces have surrendered as well, Pakura reported. Good. Now, we can only hope that Naruko-san is victorious, Mei said. Your wish has been granted, a familiar voice called from behind. Naruko, how did it go? Mei and Pakura asked simultaneously. The three-tailed situation has been handled, Naruko confirmed with a satisfied grin. Mei turned to her forces and declared, the war is over. Yagura is no more. A wave of cheers erupted throughout Kiri. 1 week later. With stability returning to Kiri, the former daimyo had been dealt with, and the village was on the path to prosperity. The Uzumaki Corporation, formerly known as Gato Corporation, was flourishing in the land of waves under Naruko's ownership. Meanwhile, Naruko had been officially appointed as Kiri's ambassador to Konoha and had departed a day earlier. As she traveled, she thought, I still have one more month before the Chunin exams. Let's head to Taki, she told Yagura as they set off toward their next destination. Changing history, the Chunin exams. Naruko, thank you for helping us, Kurama said sincerely. Hey, that's what friends are for, and you're one of the very few I have, Naruko replied with a small, sad smile. Naruko, when we're gone, do you have any way to contact me, I mean, us? Kurama asked. No, and honestly, I'd rather not. Any loopholes in the seal could allow someone else to find a way to reach you, Naruko answered truthfully. There is one way, Kurama stated. I was talking with Sun and the others, and we've decided to help you. Naruko raised an eyebrow. And how exactly do you plan on helping me from all the way over there? 2 words, summoning contract, Kurama said with a knowing smirk. You had a summoning contract all this time? And here I thought we were friends, Naruko said, feigning hurt. Foolish kid, when have I ever said I was your friend? Kurama retorted. But no, we don't have one, that's why you'll create one. This way, we get to decide who we help and who we don't. You didn't deny being my friend the first time, Naruko said with a playful grin. 2 weeks ago, unknown location. Zetsu-senpai, why so sad? Toby can help. Toby is a good boy, Toby said in a sing-song voice. Toby, we have a problem, Zetsu responded grimly. The Nanabi has disappeared, just like the Sanbi, no traces, no chakra fluctuations. It's as if they've truly vanished, and there's no sign of them being reborn. However, unlike the Sanbi, the Nanabi disappeared after Taki was destroyed. So, another one becomes impossible to retrieve, Pain said, stepping out from the shadows. Don't worry, Pain. I have a plan, Toby replied confidently. We'll need Orochimaru to join us. He's the only one with the ability to bring back a previous Jinchuriki. We can extract the tailed beast from their remains. But Orochimaru is focused on his plans for Konoha. He won't abandon years of preparation for us, Zetsu pointed out. Then we'll just have to wait until he's finished, Toby said before disappearing in a spiral. Konoha, training grounds. A shadow clone of Naruko was observing a spar between Sasuke and Rock Lee. Sasuke was struggling, unable to keep up with Lee's relentless attacks. The real issue, however, was Sakura standing beside the clone, yelling in Naruko's ear for her to step in and stop Lee from hurting Sasuke. Orochimaru had arrived earlier than expected, forcing Naruko to adjust her training schedule. Kakashi, however, had spent the past month focusing on training Sasuke, attempting to help him unlock his Sharingan. Unfortunately, Sasuke's arrogance nearly got him hospitalized multiple times. Adding to the frustration, Kabuto had been trailing Team 7, gathering information for Orochimaru. This meant Naruko had to be extra cautious about showing her full strength. Yosh! I did it, Guy-sensei, Lee shouted in triumph, standing over a battered Sasuke. With impeccable timing, Might Guy arrived with a dramatic entrance, accidentally knocking Sakura to the ground as she rushed toward Sasuke. Excellent work, Lee. You have defeated my rival's strongest student. I am proud of you. Guy cheered, pulling Lee into an enthusiastic hug. Naruko, watching the spectacle, couldn't help but wonder if the so-called power of youth was stronger than nature itself. She quickly created a shadow clone to carry her teammates to the exam hall. Upon arrival, they were met by Kakashi, who briefly glanced up from his book to assess the condition of his students. After listening to Naruko's summary of events, he used a basic healing jutsu to patch them up. Forest of Death. After enduring a rather dull written exam, Naruko now found herself in the perilous Forest of Death. She had just been knocked away by a powerful wind jutsu and was now facing a survivor of Orochimaru's summons, a mid-sized serpent slithering toward her. Without hesitation, she countered with wind release, eliminating the threat before heading towards Sasuke and Sakura, who were in danger. Meanwhile, Sasuke, now facing an unknown Kunoichi, was frustrated. Not only had she attacked Naruko without warning, but she also refused to hand over her scroll. To Sasuke, this was a direct insult. How dare she? Clearly, she didn't understand who she was dealing with. Fueled by arrogance, Sasuke charged at her with all his speed, his punch aimed directly at her face. However, to his shock, the kunoichi effortlessly caught his fist. "So weak," she muttered. "Your speed barely surpasses that of a regular Genin, and your strength is unimpressive. I'll give you another chance, come at me with everything you have. This time, use your Sharingan." "Che. As if I'd need it against someone like you," Sasuke scoffed before attacking again, only to be sent flying into a tree. Again, she instructed. He attacked once more but was effortlessly countered. "Let's make this interesting," she said. "If you can land a single hit on me, I'll give you enough power to defeat Itachi." "Hiya, Gua!" Sasuke's scream echoed through the forest as he was struck down yet again. "No way," she muttered in disappointment. "You still haven't activated your Sharingan, have you?" Sasuke remained silent, glaring at her weakly. "Worthless," she scoffed. "I suppose Itachi was right, he spared you because you were too weak to be worth killing." With that, she turned to leave, hoping to ignite a fire in Sasuke. Watching from a distance, Naruko's clone smirked. Everything was going according to plan, Orochimaru would leave empty-handed. Preliminary matches. The remaining Genin, including Naruko, Sasuke, Sakura, Kiba, Hinata, Shino, Gaara, and others, gathered in the exam arena. The Hokage announced that there would be preliminary matches, as too many candidates had passed. Kabuto promptly withdrew, balancing the numbers for 9 matches. First match, Ryo, Kirigakure, versus Misumi, Konoha. Ryo stepped forward, determined to make his village proud. "You should surrender," Misumi advised. "I have more experience than you, and you're at a disadvantage." "Begin," Hayate announced. "Water release, water dragon jutsu," Ryo declared, summoning a massive water dragon. Misumi barely dodged and rushed forward, wrapping his limbs around Ryo like a snake. "Give up, or I'll tighten my grip," Misumi warned. "How about? No?" Ryo replied as his body turned to water. "A water clone? When did he?" Misumi realized too late as Ryo's real body reformed nearby. The third Hokage narrowed his eyes. "A Hozuki? Interesting. Water gun technique." Ryo fired a high-speed water bullet, incapacitating Misumi instantly. "Winner, Ryo," Hayate declared. Second match, Naruko, Konoha, versus Shikamaru, Konoha. Naruko stepped forward with a confident grin. "Looks like it's going to be a battle of wits, Naruko," Shikamaru said, rubbing his temples. "How troublesome." "Begin," Hayate announced. Naruko smirked. "Let's see if you can keep up, genius." Naruko swiftly performed the clone technique, creating 4 copies and sending them toward Shikamaru to keep him occupied while she devised a plan. Shadow imitation technique. Shikamaru called out as his shadow extended, quickly binding and dispelling the shadow clones. Without missing a beat, he activated another move. Shadow Strangle Jutsu. His shadow stretched again, reaching toward Naruko. However, Naruko had anticipated this. Just as the shadow neared, she hurled a shuriken straight at Shikamaru, forcing him to break concentration. "Not bad," he muttered, realizing she had disrupted his control. Shikamaru sighed, shaking his head. "Proctor, I forfeit. She understands my shadow techniques too well." "Winner, Naruko Uzumaki," Hayate announced. Neji versus Hinata. The match between Neji and Hinata was intense. Both fighters demonstrated incredible skill, but Neji was more experienced, faster, and unwavering in his attacks. In contrast, Hinata hesitated with each strike, clearly reluctant to go all out. Neji, however, fought at full strength, and his precision ultimately secured him the victory. Hinata, having sustained significant injuries, was taken to the medical ward. Kankuro versus Naomi. "Be careful, Naomi. He's strong," Sato warned from the sidelines. "Hi, Sato-kun," Naomi responded, making her way to the arena. "Begin," Gekko announced. Without hesitation, Kankuro threw a kunai toward Naomi. "Give up. You're no match for me," he taunted. Naomi smirked. "Says the guy who wears fancy face paint," she countered playfully. Kankuro, visibly annoyed, rushed toward her, ready to attack, only for Naomi to suddenly unseal a weapon from her palm. A stunned silence fell over the crowd. "That's the splash sword," someone exclaimed in shock. Realizing the weapon's potential, Kankuro hesitated. He knew his puppets wouldn't stand a chance against it. With a sigh, he turned to the proctor. I forfeit. Winner, Naomi, Hayate declared. Sasuke vs. Kiba. Sasuke smirked confidently as he stepped onto the stage. Give it up, Kiba. You and Akamaru don't stand a chance against an elite Uchiha. Kiba scoffed. I thought elite Uchiha had the Sharingan. Guess that doesn't include you. Sasuke's expression darkened. How dare you? You're nothing compared to a true Uchiha. Maybe, Kiba replied, but you're not really an Uchiha unless you activate your Sharingan, right? From the balcony, Kakashi observed closely. Sasuke, he's trying to get under your skin, he muttered, too low for Sasuke to hear. Kurenai, standing beside him, chuckled. Not trying, he already has. Are you both ready? Gekko asked. Begin. Sasuke charged forward head-on, but Kiba had been waiting for this moment. With a well-timed kick, he sent Sasuke skidding backward. He's faster than me, Sasuke realized. I'll need to use numbers to my advantage. Akamaru, let's go. Kiba called out. Man-beast clone. Instantly, Akamaru transformed into a perfect copy of Kiba. Sasuke got back up and attacked again, but Kiba and Akamaru worked together seamlessly, making it difficult for him to land a solid hit. TCH, take this. Sasuke formed hand signs. Fire release, great fireball jutsu. A massive fireball shot toward Kiba. Akamaru, dodge. Kiba called, shoving his companion out of harm's way, only to take the hit himself. Medics. Gekko called. Winner, Sasuke. Sato vs. Yoroi. Sato and Yoroi made their way to the arena, both calm but focused. Yoroi knew the Kiri team was formidable, so he planned carefully. Wasting no time, he threw a shuriken. Shadow shuriken jutsu, he whispered, causing the weapon to multiply mid-air. Wind release, great breakthrough. Sato countered, generating a powerful gust that blew the projectiles away. Before Yoroi could react, Sato vanished and reappeared behind him. Wind release, tornado fist. Sato struck with a punch infused with spinning wind currents, sending Yoroi flying into the wall. The Hokage observed with keen interest. That's at least a high B rank, maybe even low A rank technique, he thought. Winner, Sato. Hayate announced. Other matches. Sakura vs. Ino, the match ended in a draw, much like in the original timeline. Gaara vs. Lee, the fight played out as expected, with Lee showcasing his incredible speed but ultimately being overpowered by Gaara. Tenten vs. Temari, similar to before, Temari's wind-based attacks dominated Tenten's weaponry. Shino vs. Choji. Begin. Gekko announced. Multi-size technique, arm. Choji's arm expanded as he swung a massive punch, only to strike an insect clone instead. Iron Mountain leaning. Shino's voice called from behind. Choji turned, but it was too late. Two Shinos tackled him, sending him flying. No. I can't lose. Choji gritted his teeth, pushing himself back up. Flashback. Asuma had been watching his team's matches carefully. With Ino's match ending in a draw and Shikamaru forfeiting, Choji was the last one left. He needed to give him motivation. But how? He couldn't give an unfair advantage. Unless. Choji, Asuma had said with a grin, win the preliminaries, and I'll treat you to an all-you-can-eat meal at any restaurant you choose. Choji's eyes had widened. He was already imagining mountains of food. Asuma, meanwhile, could already feel his wallet getting lighter. Was this a good idea? He wondered. No turning back now. End flashback. Fueled by determination, and the promise of unlimited food, Choji pushed forward. But Shino was just as strategic. His insect clones and well-planned tactics overwhelmed Choji, ultimately securing Shino's victory. Winner, Shino. Hayate announced. Haya. Multi-size technique, ball. Choji announced as his body expanded, taking on a rounder shape. Human bullet tank, he shouted, spinning rapidly toward Shino. At the last moment, Shino swiftly leapt out of the way, causing Choji to crash into a wall. Choji paused for a few seconds before preparing to spin again. Proctor, I forfeit. It would be illogical to continue while he remains in motion. My techniques are limited in this situation, Shino explained calmly. Winner, Choji. Gekko declared. Meanwhile, Asuma sighed internally. No way. Choji won. How do I handle this? If I treat him to an all-you-can-eat meal now, my date with Kurenai will be completely ruined. Maybe I should postpone it until after the Chunin exams and take on some well-paying missions to make up for it. Kurenai leaned in slightly and whispered, "So, Asuma, you won the bet. Where are you taking me?" He hesitated for a moment before whispering back, "Well, I thought maybe you'd like to pick the place." The proctor then stepped forward and addressed the participants. "Everyone, please come forward one by one and take a piece of paper from this box. Read the number aloud. Those who receive numbers 1 and 2 will face each other, and so on. Due to the uneven number of contestants, numbers 7, 8, and 9 will participate in a battle royale. Now, let's begin." The participants drew their numbers. Naruko, 8. Sato, 6. Choji, 3. Sasuke, 5. Neji, 1. Gaara, 9. Ryo, 2. Naomi, 7. Tamari, 4. Here are the matchups. The proctor announced. Match 1, Neji vs Ryo. Match 2, Choji vs Tamari. Match 3, Sasuke vs Sato. Match 4, Triple Threat, Naomi vs Naruko vs Gaara. Congratulations to those who have advanced to the final stage of the exams. There will be a 1-month break before the next round begins. Naomi tilted her head curiously. "Why a whole month, Hokage-sama?" "This break is for you to recover, train, and for the leaders of your respective villages to arrive for the event," the Hokage explained. Seeing that there were no further questions, he dismissed the participants. Outside. The team from the Hidden Mist was waiting for their sensei when they noticed a familiar figure approaching. "Hey, look! It's that guy who gave up after the Forest of Death. Isn't this the 7th? No, 8th time he's failed? I kind of feel bad for you, Stranger-san," Naomi remarked. Kabuto smiled politely. "It's alright, but if you keep bringing it up, I don't think I'll be able to forget, Ninja-san." Meanwhile, he thought to himself, "Foolish girl. If Orochimaru-sama weren't interested in your team, you'd already be out of the picture, and that blade would be mine." "Ah. Sorry about that, old man-san," Naomi quickly apologized. Kabuto twitched slightly. "I'm not that old, you know." Before the conversation could continue, a voice called out from behind. "What are you guys doing here?" Turning around, they saw Raiga approaching with Ranmaru on his back. "Looks like you're busy. See you later." As Kabuto turned to leave, Ryo's expression grew serious. "Please refrain from spying on us during the 1-month break, or we might have to intervene, Kabuto-san." Kabuto simply chuckled. "Ha ha ha, don't worry about me." With that, he disappeared into the distance. 1 week later. In a secluded training ground, a clone of Naruko was practicing diligently. She paused when she sensed someone approaching. Well, look who it is, the Konoha Nin. "What are you doing in a training ground assigned to us?" Sato questioned as he stopped a few steps away. Naruko smirked. "Well, since Orochimaru is staying at the base, I figured this was the perfect place to train." Sato nodded. "Hey! Your sensing abilities have improved. Nice work. Fill me in, I don't want to redo the whole jutsu again." "Understood, Naruko-sama," the clone responded before relaying all the gathered information. Naruko listened carefully before nodding. "I see. Go find Kakashi and check if he's training both of you or just Sasuke again. We'll plan accordingly after that." "Got it," the clone acknowledged before setting off. With Kakashi. Kakashi sighed, feeling the weight of the situation. The village council was furious that their prized Uchiha had not awakened the Sharingan yet. Though it was mostly the civilian members making a fuss, he still had orders to ensure Sasuke's progress, specifically, to focus solely on him. Kakashi understood the underlying meaning of these instructions: don't waste time teaching the Jinchuriki. However, with the Hokage preoccupied due to Anko's encounter with the rogue Sannin, there was no room to push back against the council's wishes. The third Hokage was getting older, and it had become increasingly difficult for him to challenge their influence. "Kakashi-sensei." A familiar voice called from behind him. Turning around, he saw Naruko standing there. "Naruko? What are you doing here?" Kakashi asked, though he already had a feeling he knew the answer. "Sensei, when's training starting?" she asked, her expression full of hope. Kakashi hesitated.
I have some important tasks to take care of, Naruko."
She frowned. "You're training Sasuke again, aren't you? He sighed. I am, but. Don't worry. I arranged for someone even better to train you. At that moment, Ebisu stepped forward. In truth, Kakashi hadn't chosen him. This had also been a suggestion from the council, though he wasn't sure why. Naruko crossed her arms. So, the person who openly dislikes me is your choice of teacher? First, you only trained Sasuke during our Jinan missions. Then, you chose to train Sasuke again for the exams. And now, you hand me off to someone who doesn't even respect me? Her voice was calm, but there was clear disappointment. Without waiting for a response, she turned and walked away. Kakashi stood frozen, guilt washing over him. I really haven't taught them anything, have I? And I always preach about teamwork. What would Obito and Sensei say if they saw me like this? No. I already know. Obito would say I'm worse than trash. Naruko, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you. With a heavy sigh, he turned to Ebisu. You may leave. Ebisu nodded and departed, leaving Kakashi alone with his regrets. With Naruko's clone. The clone was usually calm, but today, Kakashi had truly disappointed her. Not for her own sake, she was just a temporary manifestation of her creator's will, but for the real Naruko. If Naruko-sama hadn't found the training base, she would have had to endure all that favoritism from someone unworthy of being called a sensei. The clone narrowed her eyes. Kakashi, during the invasion, don't let your guard down. Or I might just be tempted to prove a point. With that thought, she continued her journey back to her original self. At the Hokage's office. So, they assigned Kakashi to train Sasuke in activating and mastering the Sharingan while entrusting Naruko to Ebisu? The Hokage muttered as he reviewed reports from an Anbu operative stationed in the room. The operative was there both for protection and to discreetly relay information to the Hokage when he was absent. The council is sabotaging a child with immense potential, one who could one day rival the Sage of Six Paths, or perhaps surpass even that. No, I won't allow them to hinder her growth, the elderly leader thought to himself before signaling an Anbu to step forward. Hokage-sama, the Anbu, clad in a cat mask, acknowledged. Cat, I know you've been through a difficult time after recent events, but I have a mission for you, the Hokage stated, his voice carrying a solemn weight. He died honorably, Hokage-sama. I have no complaints, Cat responded, though a trace of sorrow lingered beneath her mask. I need you to locate Jiraiya. It's time he fulfills his responsibility and gets to know his goddaughter, the Hokage said, handing Cat a sealed scroll. With a nod, she disappeared in a swirl of leaves, executing a swift shunshine technique. At the hot springs. Jiraiya, the self-proclaimed super pervert, was indulging in his favorite pastime, peeking into the women's hot springs. Over the years, he'd been caught and punished countless times, yet his persistence never wavered. Just as he was about to witness a new wave of bathers, Cat appeared. She had two choices, hand over the scroll and leave, or take the opportunity to teach him a lesson. The second option was far too tempting. Pervert, she yelled. Jiraiya barely had time to react before a furious mob of women descended upon him, fists flying. Among them, Cat joined in, taking the opportunity to release some stress. After the crowd dispersed, Jiraiya lay on the ground, bruised and battered. Cat stood over him, looking quite satisfied. Jiraiya-sama, I have a message from the Hokage, she informed him as he groaned, attempting to stand. Hand it over, he grumbled, clearly irritated that she had foiled his fun. After reading the scroll. It's been 12 years. I suppose it's time I finally meet her, Jiraiya thought as he turned to leave. Now, where would I find her in such a large village? He sighed. I guess the old man can tell me with that crystal ball of his. Hokage's office. Hokage-sama, I completed the mission. The message was delivered, with only a minor disturbance, Cat reported. Che, says the one who instigated the mob attack, Jiraiya muttered as he climbed through the window. Apologies, Jiraiya-sama, but as a woman, I couldn't just ignore it, Cat replied, her tone entirely unapologetic. That's enough, you too. Cat, you may take your leave, the Hokage interjected. Hi, she responded before vanishing. So, Jiraiya, what brings you back to Konoha? Orochimaru is the leader of that new village, Sound. I heard they had a team in the Chunin exams and came to warn you, Jiraiya informed him. Yes, they participated, but their team was eliminated by a squad from Kiri, the Hokage confirmed. Kiri? Didn't they just recover from their civil war? I didn't expect them to be sending teams so soon, Jiraiya remarked. They only sent one, but it was a formidable group, likely hand-picked, the Hokage noted. I've heard Kiri is regaining strength at an alarming rate. They're taking on missions ranging from C rank to A rank, skipping low-level ones entirely. Their Genin undergo training at a Chunin level, and their economy is booming. Apparently, an organization called Uzumaki Corps is aiding their recovery, Jiraiya mentioned. Yes. Previously known as Gato Incorporated, it was taken over by Uzumaki Yari, whom Team 7 encountered during a mission in the Land of Waves. Yari is a true Uzumaki, his sword skills rivaled Kushina's, though his sealing abilities remain uncertain. The Uzumaki Corps is thriving, expanding into various business sectors across nations, including Konoha. They've been investing in land, establishing small businesses, and even opening new factories. The company has the potential to become a global powerhouse, the Hokage explained. Does he have a village? Jiraiya asked. That remains unknown. He keeps much of his background a mystery, the Hokage admitted. I'll see what I can find out, Sensei, Jiraiya offered, heading toward the window. Are you running away again, Jiraiya? The Hokage's words froze him in place. The old man was right, he wasn't fleeing responsibility but the pain of seeing Naruko, who was a near replica of her father, Minato, only with whisker marks on her cheeks. Hey! I suppose I can't avoid it forever. Where is she? Jiraiya asked, resigned. She's at the Hokage monument, on top of your student's head. Says she thinks more clearly up there, the Hokage replied. Ironic, isn't it? I'll meet her tomorrow, Jiraiya said before vanishing. Atop the 4th Hokage's monument. Naruko's clone had just returned from her morning routine, starting at 5 a.m. and lasting until 1 p.m. The final round of the Chunin exams was only 2 weeks away. 2 weeks until she faced Gaara and Naomi/Fu. She needed a plan. Gaara's sand defense was a serious problem, and his instability made him unpredictable. This wasn't going to be easy. You seem deep in thought, kid, a voice called out, breaking her concentration. Naruko sighed. Go get drunk somewhere, old man, she said, clearly unimpressed. Jiraiya chuckled. Ha ha ha, tempting, but that's not why I'm here, he said, stepping into view. Are you here to commit some sort of heroic act? That's surprising, she quipped. Jiraiya's smile faltered. Come on, kid, do you really think someone like me would do that? Naruko tilted her head. Let's see. Old? Check. Perverted aura? Check. 100% chance you're not married. And I'd bet you're still a virgin, she stated nonchalantly. Jiraiya's head lowered in mock defeat, until realization dawned. Why you? You're going to regret that, brat, he yelled, chasing after her. Naruko laughed as she dodged, only to be caught moments later and receive a firm knock on the head. Ow. Listen up, brat. You act like you don't know who I am, yet you somehow know everything else about me, Jiraiya grumbled. So? You're not denying the virgin part? She shot back, vanishing with a substitution technique. Naruko oh. Jiraiya's exasperated yell echoed through the village as he continued his search. 5 hours later. Back atop the 4th Hokage's monument, Naruko watched as a very exhausted Jiraiya approached. Finally gave up? She asked with a smirk. Jiraiya sighed. One of these days, I'll get back at you for this, he muttered. Keep dreaming, Naruko replied confidently. Hey! Overconfidence isn't always a good thing, Jiraiya warned. Don't worry, perv. I know my limits, she replied. Oh? And what are those limits? He asked. Why do you want to know? She asked cautiously. Because if I'm going to train you, I need to understand them, Jiraiya admitted. Naruko narrowed her eyes. Why do you suddenly want to train me? Jiraiya took a deep breath. Naruko Uzumaki. I am Jiraiya, the Toad Sannin of Konoha, and your godfather. Silence. Naruko's expression hardened. Why? She asked, her voice laced with barely restrained anger. And for the first time in years, Jiraiya found himself at a complete loss for words. The cage's viewing stand. He's quite mature for someone his age, remarked the Kazekage, who was actually Orochimaru in disguise. War has a way of forcing children to grow up before their time, stripping them of the innocence they should have enjoyed, the elderly Hokage responded solemnly. Indeed. Kirigakure has endured immense hardship, yet they are rising at an astonishing rate, wouldn't you agree, Mizukage Dono? The Kazekage inquired. Mei Terumi nodded, a pleased smile gracing her lips. Yes, the Uzumaki Corps has played a significant role in our recovery. Their contributions range from financial support and low-interest loans to affordable transportation of goods. You name it, they've helped with it. Naruko Uzumaki had asked for little in return, merely the opportunity to borrow a Jonin's name to enter the Chunin exams. For Mei, the potential prestige was reason enough to agree. I've heard much about them, the Kazekage admitted, curiosity evident in his tone. They've been acquiring land across multiple nations, including Suna. While we appreciate the economic boost, we can't help but be wary of their growing influence. There are even rumors that their leader is an S-rank shinobi, the Hokage added. Strong enough to defeat Yagura without sustaining significant injuries. Makes one wonder, why invest so much in real estate? That, I cannot say, Mei replied, her voice calm yet firm. But Kirigakure stands behind them wholeheartedly. The Uzumaki Corps has also strengthened ties with Kumo and Iwa by providing safety and security to their citizens. The Hokage remained silent, deep in thought. He had never considered taking action against the organization, but the whispers from the Konoha elders suggested otherwise. With reports of their superior sealing techniques, many believed that securing their expertise for Konoha was a priority. The civilian council had also taken an interest, particularly after the successful implementation of the Corps Advanced Security Seals. Arena Battlegrounds. If you two are done with the pointless arguments, shall we begin? Genma asked, his tone laced with boredom. Hey, of course. Fate is on my side, Neji declared confidently. I'm ready, Ryo responded indifferently. All right then, begin. Genma announced before leaping back to give them space. Water release, gunshot. Ryo swiftly formed a series of hand seals, sending high-speed bursts of water toward Neji. Neji smirked. I'll show you why fate chose me, 8 trigrams, palm rotation. He spun rapidly, generating a powerful chakra barrier that deflected the incoming attack. Ryo narrowed his eyes and changed tactics. Look at you, going on about fate when you don't even believe in it yourself. You stole techniques from the main branch and even attempted to harm the Hyuga heiress. Seems like you might be a bit unhinged, Ryo taunted. Neji's expression darkened. You have no idea what it's like. A sudden wave of pressure filled the arena as Ryo released an intense killing intent. Though typically composed, after all, he was Yagura, a former Mizukage, there were certain things he simply couldn't tolerate. Don't finish that sentence, Ryo interrupted coldly. Kirigakure endured years of war. People lost their families, their homes, everything. And yet, they persevered. Meanwhile, you speak of fate when you've lived a relatively privileged life compared to others I know. They were shunned, cast out, left to fend for themselves, and yet, they kept fighting. I think it's time I stopped holding back. Water release, exploding water shock wave. Ryo exhaled a massive torrent of water, flooding the battlefield. Neji attempted to evade, but the sheer force of the wave sent him skidding backward. TCH. That won't help you. I will still win, Neji declared stubbornly. You're mistaken, Ryo said calmly. This terrain now belongs to me. Neji scoffed. So what? I can walk on water. He demonstrated by standing firmly atop the surface. Ryo smirked. That's not what I meant. Water release, 5 feeding snakes. With a swift sequence of seals, several water-formed serpents emerged from the lake, rushing toward Neji. Neji's mind raced. I can't use Kaiden while water walking, I don't have the control for it. I need to take him down before those things catch me. He sprinted forward, closing the distance between them. Take this, water freak, Neji exclaimed as he struck Ryo with a gentle fist attack, dispelling the snakes upon impact. You were a worthy opponent, but... Before he could finish, tendrils of water wrapped around his limbs, rendering him immobile. You're far too overconfident, Hyuga. And so you don't make the same mistake again, well, I suppose a lesson is in order, Ryo remarked as numerous water clones emerged and delivered a coordinated barrage of attacks. Winner, Ryo of Kirigakure. Next match, Choji Akimichi vs Tamari. The arena has been cleared, though some puddles remain, the proctor announced as the competitors stepped forward. Choji analyzed the battlefield. I won't be able to use bullet tank here. I'll have to rely on my hands instead. Ready. Begin. As soon as the match started, Tamari leapt backward, brandishing her war fan. She aimed to end things quickly. Multi-size technique, arms. Choji's arms expanded as he lunged forward. Tamari responded with a well-timed gust. Sickle weasel technique. The powerful wind sent Choji tumbling to the ground. Sensei was so proud when I made it here. I can't let him down now. Determined, Choji pulled out a green pill from his pocket. Dad told me to only take the green one during the exams. Watch me, Dad. He swallowed it and stood back up. Tamari prepared to unleash another gust, but Choji charged at a much faster speed than before. Why drag this out? Tamari mused. Sickle weasel technique. She conjured a tornado, sending Choji airborne. As he fell, she prepared to finish the match. But just as she swung her fan, Choji caught it midair with ease. You walked right into it, he said before pulling her in and delivering a powerful punch, sending her crashing into the ground and leaving a small crater. Winner, Choji Akimichi. Final match, Sato vs Uchiha Sasuke. The next match will be between Sato and Uchiha Sasuke, Genma announced. The crowd erupted in cheers, with many placing bets on Sasuke, despite his absence. Where is the Uchiha? Genma asked, scanning the arena. Just then, two figures leapt into the stadium, striking a dramatic pose. It was none other than Kakashi Hatake and Sasuke Uchiha. Apologies for the delay, Kakashi said lazily. You're just in time, Genma sighed. Now, get off the field, Kakashi. With a quick body flicker, Kakashi vanished, leaving Sasuke to face his opponent. Ready? Begin. Give up and, Sasuke started but was abruptly struck on the forehead by a small pebble. What was that? He looked around, only to realize Sato had thrown it. Howdy, another pebble struck him. Enough of this, Sasuke yelled, throwing the pebbles back. Sato caught them effortlessly. Thanks for returning them, he said before resuming his attack, each pebble landing with precise accuracy. Furious, Sasuke charged at Sato at high speed, initiating a taijutsu exchange. The two seemed evenly matched, but Sato was merely holding back. Let's take it up a notch, Sato said, his tone shifting. Sasuke grinned. I thought you'd never ask. And so, the real battle began. In the arena. The next moment, everyone witnessed Sasuke descending from the sky. Gah! This isn't good, Sasuke muttered as he attempted to stand, only to feel the sharp edge of a blade resting against his neck. Surrender, Sato instructed firmly, as Sasuke clenched his teeth in frustration. Winner, Sato. Genma announced. Cage benches. Another victory for Kiri, huh? That makes it 2 wins for Kiri and only 1 for Konoha. Looks like Suna is up next, Orochimaru remarked. Don't underestimate Naruko. She is the strongest among the Genin and the most intelligent as well, the Hokage said with a confident smile. Naomi is just as powerful as the others. I hope you're right, though, she tends to have a playful nature, Mei added with a knowing smirk, recalling the impressive performance Naomi had demonstrated during her training. Those 3 are incredibly skilled. Mizukage Dono, why didn't you grant them a field promotion? Orochimaru inquired curiously. I considered it, but with the upcoming Chunin exams and the limited number of Genin in Kiri at the moment, I thought this would be a better opportunity. Plus, it brings more recognition to our village, Mei explained. Quite strategic, Mei Dono, the Hokage acknowledged with a nod. Why, thank you, Hokage-sama. Oh, look, the match is about to begin, Mei noted, directing their attention back to the arena. On the ground. The final match of the first round, Naomi, Naruko, and Gaara. Contestants, please step forward, Genma announced. Now, here are the special rules. You may work together against a common opponent, but the match will continue until only one remains standing. Understood? Ready? Begin. The 3 competitors positioned themselves in a triangular formation. Gaara wasted no time, sending a wave of sand toward both of them. Naruko swiftly leapt into the air to evade, while Naomi had a different strategy in mind. Forming hand seals, she called out, water release, gunshot. A barrage of water bullets shot forward, colliding with the sand and forcing it to collapse. Naomi, stick to the plan. I'll keep him occupied, go prepare the technique, Naruko instructed as she created 50 shadow clones. The clones rushed toward Gaara, who initially seemed to enjoy crushing them but soon found it increasingly difficult to land a solid hit. How are your clones becoming harder to strike? Gaara demanded. It's simple. You're using the same attack pattern every time, Naruko responded with a grin. I see. Then try this. Sand Shuriken. Gaara countered, launching several razor-sharp projectiles made of sand toward Naruko and her clones. Naruko managed to evade, but many of her clones were struck and vanished instantly. So, you've been holding back some techniques. Well then, let's do something about that sand, shall we, Naomi? Naruko called out, making Gaara's eyes widen. He had been so focused on defending against the clones that he had completely forgotten about Naomi. Turning quickly, he saw an enormous wave crashing toward him. Water release, great waterfall technique, Naomi shouted as a powerful surge of water collided with Gaara's sand defenses, drenching them and making them sluggish. Now! Naruko's voice came from behind him. Gaara turned just in time to see 10 clones charging at him. He attempted to counter with his sand, but the water had made it too slow and difficult to manipulate. The clones reached him, landing a series of hits and sending him tumbling across the ground. My blood! My blood, Gaara gasped, his eyes wide with shock as he noticed a trickle of red from his mouth. From the shadows, Kabuto observed the battle closely. It's time, he thought, activating a powerful genjutsu. Within moments, a wave of drowsiness washed over the crowd, putting most of the spectators into a deep sleep. Meanwhile, smoke bombs erupted in the cage seating area, signaling the beginning of a larger scheme. Dear YouTube family, that's a wrap for now. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the upcoming parts. Thanks for your support. 6 Path Weeb.